This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Jason Glick, what's going on, man?
Hey, John, not much. I mean, it's towards the end of May, and you know what that means, right?
Fanime?
Yeah, it's like, unfortunately, it's like we're having to deal with another virtual Con this year. So it's like this is like another Fanime related podcast where we were unfortunately not at Fanime.
Well, we can still do it. So, what do you have on the menu tonight?
Okay, well, as is the case for more often than not with Fanime, this is another buried treasures of manga column because it's like I've got like plenty of stuff in my library that it's like obscure manga. It's like that it's like gone unnoticed for years, and it's likely will likely never be continued again because it's like it's like if it was it's because if it was going to be continued, then it wouldn't be a buried treasure and all. It's like, I mean, I'd like to be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. And tonight, well, we've got something that is downright weird. I mean, like something that I don't think would have been published if people hadn't been riding high on the glory days of the manga boom in the late aughts. Because what I have for you is a series called Me and the Devil Blues by Akira Hiramoto. And before you start going about like, okay, so Me and the Devil Blues, wait a second, that name Akira Hiramoto, that sounds familiar. Like I know that name from somewhere. It's like, and you're thinking, and if you're thinking like, yeah, it's like I have talked about this man many times because he is the glorious grand pervert who gave us Prison School, the story about five knuckleheaded guys who wind up enrolling in an all girls school as it made the transition from all female to co-ed. It's like, and all the glorious, dumb, it's like idiotic antics they got up to over the course of 14 American volumes and 28 total Japanese volumes. It was a series that basically like started from the premise of like a guy who just like who just thought like, hey, it's like I love boobs and butts. It's like, but you know what? No one is doing that stuff. It's like with any imagination these days. I've got to create a series that delivers all these boobs and butts. It's like in a way that new audiences can appreciate them. And yeah, Prison School absolutely succeeded on those terms. Now, on that note, you would think that, okay, well, this guy, well, what else does he have to offer us? Well, prior to his success with Prison School, he also did a series about a trucker called Chinless Gensan that ran for a good long while and delighted many people in Japan and is likely never going to be published in America because it's just too old, obscure, and Japanese for us to really appreciate. But during that series and before Prison School, he did Me and the Devil Blues, which is a story of Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson, if you may recall, like if you've heard about him at all, he is the legendary bluesman from the 20s who was reputed to have sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads in order for his legendary skill with the blues guitar. So you hear this and you think, wait a second. The guy who did Prison School is doing a series about the blues, about an African American guy who sold his soul to his devil for his musician skill. What the hell, man? Why would you even consider why did you even try to do this in the first place? And you know what? I really don't know. It's like I don't know what possessed him to do this. Like maybe he was just doing Chinless against Sun and realized like, I gotta do my big old pitch for respectability. So I'm gonna do a series about like an American blues guitarist. It's like and show and just like make everyone like realize that hey, I've got real dramatic chops right here. And you know what? Reading the two-in-one volumes that were published, it's like in America, I think that that these two volumes make a good case for the fact that Hiramoto has substantial dramatic chops beyond just like his usual perverted humor stuff that he did he was made famous for in Prison School, and also Chinless Against Sun and subsequently presently Raw Hero. But it's like if you're like looking at this like and you're thinking like, okay, is this like going to be like a legitimate history of like Robert Johnson's life? You know what? I feel pretty confident in saying no, it is not. Is it entertaining? Yes, it is. But I imagine that there's a lot of problematic stuff that that Hiramoto, like when he was doing this back in the aughts, like probably couldn't even like have realized that people were going to be thinking about his series. It's like more than the fact that hey, it's like Japanese guy like does an American story from the 20s. So that's that's something you have to consider here. It's like yeah, it's like I wouldn't say this is a it's not a very realistic look at Johnson's life to the extent that like I think that Hiramoto heard the story of Johnson and wanted to like do a story about that, but then he kind of like got distracted by other things and let his own muse take right here because the first volume or the first half of the first American volume basically tells the story of Johnson. It's like who was just like like an average. It's like average guy, average African American male living in the 20s, like in the South, like making a living as a farmer. It's like he's got his sister, her husband, and also his wife who is pregnant. It's like and he's just trying to make live a decent life. It's like by those standards, but he's also like constantly like being drawn to the it's like drawn to the music offered by at the local juke joint. It's like just like he hears the blues and it's like and how they're being practiced by one of its local legends, Son House, and he just wants to he wants that kind of that kind of fame, like just wants to be known as a great bluesman and all, but it's like he just can't that he just like he's just not able to he just doesn't have the skill for that, and unfortunately it's like it's like he and it it's like and he's like just like going about his business, like he goes by the crossroads one day. It's like it's like he sees this like phantasmagorical representation of a church, and well it's like things get weird from here because the first volume only kind of works in the sense that you kind of assume that this is what that you think of that you think of Johnson as like this average guy like who's given the chance to be something more, and what's he going to give up in order to get that greatness. It's like on that level like the volume kind of works. It's like but it's like it's standard, but it's like it's standard myth making stuff. It's like and it doesn't offer anything new, but I gotta admit it's like Hiramoto's art does a good job of selling the like the tension, like in the unreality of the setting, because like the genius of what he did in prison school was that he was able to like sell like this utterly absurd like this realistic setting, but in utterly absurd ways. It's like just like just portraying like the overly hyped up for comedy rather than drama. Me and the Devil Blues shows that Hiramoto can do drama really well. It's like he can, it's like that he can play play the unreal, the over the top, like for straight up drama, and that's what really carries these volumes here, especially the first one. It's like I mean, like I said, it's basically just like building the myth of like a Robert Johnson up to a certain point, because well, it's like that because like after we learn like what Robert gave up, what specifically he gave up in order to be a great bluesman. Well, the story flashes forward a bit to show to the future, to show you like what he's doing now, like now that he's given up that thing. And it introduces us to the series' most prominent white character, guy named Clyde Barrow. Yes, that Clyde Barrow of Bonnie and Clyde fame. And well, if you were hoping that this is gonna be like one of those rare manga that offered like an African American protagonist, like like going like showing you what his troubles were, well, sorry to disappoint you, but well, it's like I guess it's not necessarily like a huge problem, but as in terms of like the actual entertainment quality of the story goes. But the thing is that Clyde Barrow Well, it's like once he shows up, it's like he almost kind of hijacks the story to a certain extent. I mean, he certainly hijacks Robert because while Robert is shown to be wandering the back roads of the South, it's like after after the events of the initial storyline. Well, Clyde picks him up, and it's like because he has him in mind for a certain job. He just wants him to play the blues for these for like this white party. It's like at this plantation. It's like just distract them long enough so that he can get in. It's like and rob the place. So this does work to a certain extent, but things kind of go wrong when Clyde is comes upon like the plantation owner's wife in bed with another man, gets a gun put to his head by the plantation owner, and then Robert like freaks out during the while he's playing the blues because he's suddenly grown 10 fingers. No, really, he's suddenly grown 10 fingers because, well, it's like it's part of his deal with the devil. Yeah, that's the story here, and I'm sticking to it. It's it's not something that's specifically explained, but it's like but Robert's but this like mutation that Robert has like does kind of play into the a lot of the second volume, especially when Clyde escapes, takes Robert with him, and and like they're just like relaxing, like in the cool night, and Clyde asks him like, why don't you just play something for me? And like Robert's kind of like, can't do that because he's thinking like I had 10 fingers, I can't show this white man I got 10 fingers on my right hand because he's gonna shoot me for it, and can't really like argue with his logic there, but yeah, this is the kind of like series that we're playing with. It's like there's like all these there are these like supernatural touches to it, even if it doesn't like fully commit to like out and out like unreality. It's like, but the thing is though that Hiromoto like shown is like he's really good at playing like the tension, the playing up the tension of these situations like really well. It's like whether it's like something that's like as unrealistic as like Robert dealing with the fact that he's got 10 fingers on his right hand. It's like, well, and also it's like, and or if it's just like Clyde coming into the town, like this one nearby town, after after a bunch of people have assaulted him and Robert and taken off Robert for reasons unknown. Clyde comes into this town to like find out just what's going on, and he comes upon this place that's just like it's like a speakeasy, and like they're just like all this booze up on the wall there, and he just asks for a soda pop, and these other dudes come in and say like, hey, yeah, like you're just drinking a soda pop, what kind of pussy are you, man? It's like, yeah, give us a real man's drink. And then the bartender there gives them a drink, and they drink, and they're like, oh my god, what's this stuff? And then the bartender and the guys pull out like some guns because like, hey, it turns out that this town is a dry town, and they're only offering this booze for people who won't act like who are like it's a test to like what's like what people are actually like made of. So good old Clyde, he passed. It's like, and he introduces himself as a newspaper man named Robert because he's just trying to figure out what's going on around here. And well, it turns out that this town is being run by this old mostly blind man named Mr. McDonald, who's mostly blind. He's got the diabetes, and boy, he hates black people. Yeah, that's not the word he uses, but you can probably guess what they are because the script here is period accurate, and boy howdy, it's like I'm not saying it's rough, but I mean like the treatment of the treatment of black people here. It's like in terms of the story, it's like it's mean, it's awful, and I imagine it's probably still not quite as realistic as it was like in the South at this time. But around this time, it's like around this point in the narrative, though, it's like the story just kind of like shifts, like more from like being focused on Robert's like episode like adventures to Clyde, navigating like what's going on in this town. It's like, and getting on Mr. McDonald's good side and all. It's like, and it's like it's like, and dealing with it's like, trying to navigate the like the local customs here as he tries to rescue RJ, because he feels he owes something to like to this kid for what he did back at that plantation. And then that's kind of like where volume one, it's like ends with with a dramatic a with a dramatic counting of fingers by it's like the mostly blind Mr. McDonald's assistant, like 10-year-old assistant, Toby. It's like, then with volume two, well, things get even more intense and out there. It's like as Clyde spends a night at Mr. McDonald's mansion and finds out that, well, Mr. McDonald's likes to sleepwalk during the night. Oh, and just look at a special space like behind the church in his it's like in his mansion. It's filled with it's like very realistic kids and candy. Yeah, it's like, and in the meantime, like RJ or Robert is it's like it's like is in jail. It's like it's like at the mercy of the white men there, but also it's like at the mercy of his companion Ike, who may or may not be the devil, and who urges him to give up what he wants, because it's like, what if you just keep clinging to your desires? Well, it's like, just awfulness of like an awful fate awaits you. And that's kind of like how far that's where most of volume, like the first half of volume two goes. And then the second half of volume of that volume basically involves Clyde breaking RJ out of jail, and them being chased by Mr. McDonald's like hound dogs. It's like, who, well, it's like Hiromoto kind of like treats these hound dogs as the villains of a shonen manga arc. It's just something like, they've got their own special abilities. Golem, he'll just like destroy his prey and all. It's like, you think, yeah, okay. It's like, so this is kind of, it's like I'm watching like how things are going to go in like the latest arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. Got it. So, but but a lot of the stuff, it's just kind of like I mean, it's like even though it's like it's got this heightened sense of realism, there's still kind of feels believable to a certain extent. It's like, and Hiromoto's like I says, trying to like maintain like the tension in these encounters. It's like, is really impressive. It's like when I mean, even when Golem shows up like drooling blood on top of this moonshiner shack that RJ and Clyde have taken refuge in, it's like, it still kind of feels like, oh man, it's like, shit's about to get real. It's like, and it just feels like it's still, I'm not about to call bullshit on it. It's like, it still feels entertaining, especially in how they finally deal with them. Oh, and also how things end with Clyde, carrying a wounded RJ to the local juke joint, which oh man, it's like, it's bad, because you got this one-eyed African American guy who's just saying how much he hates white people and he hates liars. And it's like, and when he hears Clyde tell that, hey, I've got this genius bluesman like all this way here, you got to help him. And when RJ starts like getting case of stage fright, he goes like, I hate white people, I hate liars, I hate to think you as both of them. It's like, yeah, it's like it's kind of, it's over the top. It's still kind of fun in its own way. But at the same time, like, this volume ends with RJ facing the wall, trying to overcome his stage fright in order to appease all these people in the juke joint right here. Now, because of the conventions of like how manga storytelling goes, I have no doubt that RJ was able to is able to win these guys over. But at the same time, That is all that was published in America. So this story basically just ends with RJ and his black back to the wall trying to come up with like a good blues song. Now, looking over things as they were published in Japan, apparently there was one more volume published in Japan before the series went on permanent to indefinite hiatus. So it's kind of like this is a series that is that may be continued at some point, but at this point, you know, probably I feel pretty confident saying it's probably not going to be continued. So it's kind of like, well, Jason, why did you talk about this series that is likely not going to be continued? It's like on your podcast here, like, it makes this like a real buried treasure. Well, it's just the fact that it's from a creator who is best known for doing like really outrageously perverted stuff, and how he just like he didn't just like jump out of his it's like his comfort zone. He just like took a running start and just leapt right out the window. It's like into parts unknown, out of his comfort zone. Being the Devil Blues, it's like even if it doesn't have a good solid ending at the end of its second American volume, it's like still has like a lot. Still has like it's still a master class in generating, showing how to generate tension, from everyday situations. It's like just seeing it's like, I mean, like he gets the RJ's like passion in, it's like in how he wants to be more than he is, and in the tragedy that results from that. Also from Clyde's breaking and entering aspects in the plantation of the first volume, and also just about everything that happens to Clyde. It's like is kind of like the is like really good at generating tension and all, but but that's kind of like interesting and or disappointing in the sense that, hey, it's like shouldn't this be RJ's story here? Shouldn't he be getting all the great stuff, like instead of like Clyde getting all the really like um impressive like tension generating moments like here and all. So yeah, I can see I can admit you're right about that, but even so, it's like it's still a series that is full of great tension generating moments. It's like, and there's something that is so different than you'll see in most manga that's worth checking out. Is it necessarily like realistic? Absolutely not. But I think it's like close enough to be movie realistic. Like if that's any consolation there. So, but these two volumes were originally published by Del Rey, and even if Akira Himoto did like start doing get back doing the series like say full time, like now that Raw Hero is done from what I hear. I don't know, man. It's like I can't see the series being continued, because I imagine it was just like a huge flex on his part to get this series done in the first place, because it's like it's so different. I mean, it's like like a 1920s like blues gangster saga that was only going to succeed if it was really really good, and apparently it was just good enough to get 5 volumes and change out in Japan. Um, that being said, I do recommend these volumes. Like they're like a nice, if you're if you're only familiar with like Kiramoto from his from prison school, this is like a nice like shot of showing you that, hey, he's got more talent than just doing boobs and butts. It's like all that crazy ass tension generating he was doing like for laughs in prison school, he can actually do that for legit, like with this series. And you know what? If you wanted to do something like along these same lines, it's like for his next series, maybe not quite as out there, like, or maybe just like within the content confines of Japan, then I'd certainly love to see that. That being said, if he does want to do more of Me and the Double Blues, then I would definitely be around to see that, because I
Where'd
liked
you,
it.
where'd you get your copies from?
Uh, as a sign of the times. I'm pretty sure I got these in Borders.
Ah, I see. So you've had them. Got it.
I've
You're
had them
just
for a good long while.
dipping into the well, as it were. Hmm?
Yeah, like I said, this library here I've got is full of like crazy ass stuff, like from way back in the day and whatnot.
And everyone gets to benefit from your knowledge of them. So awesome.
That is the truth, sir. Yes.
So do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Okay, it's either going to be me wrapping up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, or going talking about Grant Morrison's Wonder Woman Earth One. So we will see. It's like, but I'm not sure. So we'll see how things go.
All right, cool. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Laters.